Welcome to the Top 200 Podcast with your host, Herschel Foran.
What's up, everybody? This is Herschel Foran from High School Top 200, and this is the Monday Morning Meeting Podcast. Just wherever you get all your free rugby from. Thank you for returning back again. It means that you like this and you're getting something out of it. And I try my hardest also to bring as much content and much perspective and context and I guess different dimensions of which you can look at this from, get a bit of scope from first sitting rugby here in New Zealand and what I think is the best rugby in the world, where I think we've got the best rugby players and best high school rugby players in the world as well, so why wouldn't I promote it? So for those that are new, welcome. For those that have come back again, please send your opinions because I like to hear them, especially constructive ones. Always constructive ones. I don't mind being criticised and stuff, but at least give me a good reason. Don't just say I'm a dick and then just carry on like that's something, because it doesn't really help me. But everything else I welcome. That's fine with me. If I would do a few games today, on Saturday, and I was at if you were at the De La Salle Sacred Heart game and you saw me slip on my ass, yes, it hurt, and yes, it was embarrassing, because it's always embarrassing when you fall over, and I'm a freaking 200 kg fella, so I'm huge. So if you've got that on film, or those that are like that live stream the game, have a look on the footage if you call me. I want to see what it looks like, but I imagine it'll be funny. My knee always slips out of place, and that's what happened. I usually catch myself, which I did, but I put my foot in like this bloody mud patch. I slipped over. So sore. Thought my knee was going to swell up after that on the ride home, but it was alright. But if you got that footage, just send it through so I can have a look at it to see how funny it looked. I imagine it would be funny, but that game was actually pretty good. That game was really good for the conditions it was in. I thought even I think both teams actually played really good for such a rainy day. It wasn't so much rainy, because it didn't really rain that much when they played, but it was wet, and I don't think much there were much drop balls or much like little mistakes like there usually is. So the control from both teams was actually really good, and I really enjoyed what both teams put out, and the game meant so much to them as well, to both teams, because they knew that both teams knew just how important it was, and I think when you care about something that much, you understand what the circumstances are, and I think players rise to that occasion. And it was a chance for both teams to get into that top 4 of the 1A, and because obviously St. Peter's is sitting at the top, and then because of that game, Sacred Heart is now second with Mags, Kelston, Denby, LaSalle. So it's not actually out of reach. Like there's usually by this time, especially in the 1A, usually by this time you already kind of know who the top 4 is going to be. But in this case, you really don't, because I don't see St. Peter's losing a game from right now. I actually didn't think they were going to lose a game all year, which would have pushed them up to number 1 if Rotorua lost the game. I feel like St. Peter's would have jumped over Fielding, and that's only based upon the fact that the schedule of St. Peter's is a lot harder than what you got in the CNI. And that's how you kind of have to justify these things when you talk about the strength of schedules, that these bigger teams, these bigger comps like the 1A and the Super 8 are always going to have harder schedules. Now I know you've got two top 5 teams in the CNI, which is Fielding and St. John's. Now Fielding will have to beat St. John's Hamilton by at least 15 to 20 points for them to say that they are a better team than St. Peter's. Like St. Peter's played St. John's in the preseason, but that wasn't really the St. John's that is playing right now. They still had a bunch of young guys that they wanted to try out that they're not quite sure of, where St. Peter's more or less had the team that they have right now. And if it wasn't for the loss to St. Bede's this week, that St. Peter's record would look a whole lot better, obviously. Now, the boys might have been too excited by that travel, because it's cool. Like I don't think maybe some of these guys haven't been on a plane before, which would be buzzy. It's pretty buzzy when you actually go to another place to play rugby, because Auckland don't really travel. Like I've talked about this before. Auckland 1A, you don't really have away games. You can say it's an away game, but it's not really an away game. Not in terms of flipping supporters and that. That's really what it is. Like I don't think a lot of grounds matter. The cage maybe, but after a while when you're playing on it, you do get used to it. But in terms of the crowd that's there to support, it becomes a major factor. And I've always said this before, is that Auckland teams don't know what away games are. And this is probably the first time that they had an away game in a while where your supporters don't show up. I can imagine like a few parents going down. It's not like an everyday trip that you can do. Like if you went to Rotorua, like even in Rotorua when they have their away games to Rotorua, everyone's like, I see a lot of supporters that go there to Rotorua from Auckland, because it's not that long a trip. They don't go to Gisborne though. No one drives out to Gisborne. Even Sacred Heart guys, Sacred Heart parents are like, sometimes that's a bit too long. I can understand that too. Sacred Heart and St. Peter's that travel out to Gisborne, even Kelston's that travel out to Gisborne in pre-season, sometimes it's just too far. But that's a true away game. That's a true away game when you go to Gisborne, and then none of your parents want to go. So we don't love you that much. Sorry about that, boys. We'll see replays or something. That's just too far. Driving out there is terrible. I barely go out there. I think I've only been out there once or twice since I've been doing this. That's how hard it is to get out there sometimes. But that loss to St. Bede's on their record is a tarnish in terms of ranking situations. Now, they can still go through and be unbeaten and whatever. They could still make number 1 if Fielding lose, Hamilton loses, St. John's has another loss somehow. Those kind of scenarios. And St. Peter's manage to stay perfect, they would go to number one. And I don't see them losing a game in the 1A. But in terms of that, like the way that Hamilton's going right now, the way that fielding is going right now, and Rotorua, and the way that Rotorua played just on Saturday was, exactly the standard that you should play at when you're like a number one team. Now, this game that I went to on Saturday was Sacred Heart and De La Salle, is that now that's really what was kind of going to mold and put you into the top four, but it's not out of reach. It's not out of reach for the fact that Sacred Heart are St. Peter's is 5-0. Sacred Heart is 4-1. Mags is 4-1. Kelston is 4-1. Then you got De La Salle, who's 2 losses, 2 draws, and a win, and a loss. St. Kent's, who is 2 wins, 2 draws. De La Salle, who has 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. St. Kent's, who have the same record of 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. Then you got King's College, who is 2 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. Dilworth, who is 2 wins, 3 losses. Auckland Grammar, who's 2 wins, 3 losses. Now, Auckland Grammar and Dilworth are probably the only 2 that I would say will probably be out of that equation of making that top 4. King, St. Kennigan's, and De La Salle are still in the running for it. But they would need Mags to lose a game or so. They would need Kelston to lose a game or so. They would need Sacred Heart to lose a game or so. Something like that to happen where they kind of all have to help each other out. The worst thing is that the 2 draws for Kings is maybe just that's just a hard one, like I don't know how you can make that kind of up, because Kings is going to get some more losses and those 2 draws aren't going to help at all. And their 2 losses and their 2 draws against De La Salle and St. Kent's, it's just not one of those things, it's just not one of those things that you want on your record, that when it comes to like the end of the year and you're going to try and, make a push and make a run, those 2 draws are going to hurt. And I think St. Kitts and De La Salle probably have to avoid that kind of stuff too. They're going to have to avoid having another draw on their record. But I mean, that's just the way it goes, I guess. And as the 1A is, it's, it is a pretty hard competition to play in and be consistent as well. Being consistent in that competition is pretty hard. Look at even the 1B, which is such a good competition this year. Like, just watching it from afar. I was supposed to go to some games. I might actually go to the Howick Pakironga one that was postponed to, I think, Wednesday it is, and I might try and get along to that one. But when you got Tamaki College and St. Paul's, St. Paul's College, McLean's, and also Botany Downs, those 4 teams have made this competition really, really impressive, and it's given them like a really kind of high standard too. And then, like, even if you look at like Otahu and Howick are not far away from that too. Like, those teams there, those 5-6 teams at the top there are a really good benchmark for what this competition is. And I think that like the quality of games actually a lot better too. And I like what they did where they put it into a pool A and pool B. I don't know how they got the pool A and pool B and how they separated it, but it just seems to work right now. So whatever Auckland did to get that, I mean, good on you guys, because it really works and it really helps that competition out. Like I was saying, looking at the games this week, St. Peter's losing, Napier losing to Hastings. Not so bad. That's not really a bad one. I mean, that one was to be expected, I guess. Could have went either way, especially with those two teams and their tradition with each other. But I guess the other one was the Christchurch one. And Christchurch losing to Nelson is not a surprise, but I understand it, like when I looked at the roster, and I haven't watched the game yet. I'm going to watch the game because I do have it. But when I looked at the roster, I saw that like Riley Brius was at lock and not prop. And then and Harry Nossiter was out, who's their number 8 and their captain, which is a big loss. Ben Finley was out, who's the other lock, who was a lock, and he's another massive loss to that forward pack. And then they had to put 2 year 11s in Jack Miller and also James Moore, who both played really, really well. And next year, those two are going to be incredible next year in that loose forward, as those 2 year 11s have been playing consistently this year. And next year they're just going to be, I think once they click to it, they're going to be so good. But playing against Nelson College, and even though that the Nelson College is a pretty inexperienced team, they still have seniors playing in that side. And they still have guys who are a bit mature, a bit more older and physical. And to lose someone like Harry Nossiter, to have Riley move out of position, to have 2 year 11 starting, that kind of stuff just doesn't help. That kind of stuff is not the stuff that loses you games, but I mean, it's not a good start for your team, It's especially a game like that. I mean, and I'm not too sure how long Harry's going to be out for, or how long Ben is going to be out for. But if they're out for a few weeks, they're going to have to figure something out, and hopefully have some easier games on the schedule where they can get their young boys like Jack and James to easily more adapt to that level of play, and that they can just get their minutes and reps in of first 15 rugby. And I just hope that I hope that it doesn't sort of ruin the season a bit for Christchurch boys and what they've already done so far. And I hope that leadership in that team is also prepared to lift the spirit of the boys, let everyone know that the leaders are going to be leaders, and then you can go from there. Now, having a loss at Nelson is not so bad of a thing, because Nelson is a good side. But you don't want it to be a start of something that keeps happening. Yes, you lost, watch the film, do some homework, fix it up. Then carry on to the next game, whatever it is. That's kind of how I see it, that's kind of what I'm looking at. And I look at for most teams as well, is that you're gonna have a loss in your team, you're gonna have a loss in your game and in your years, and It's just more about the bounce back of your players. Losing a big game is a hard thing, and it's real. If you're going to cry about it. That's fine. Just let it all out, and when you're finished, okay, forget about it. Just don't carry that feeling on to the next day. Don't carry that feeling on into Monday meetings. Don't carry that on into your Tuesday training in the mornings. And don't carry that on into your friendship with one of your teammates did something bad, in the game that you just hated so much, and then, he gets sent off for something stupid, things like that. Don't carry it on in school. Don't be sitting at sitting in class and go, put your hand down. Because they take it out on them, say, you always got your hand up. Leave all that stuff in the field, leave it all in change rooms, and leave it all out there, and just not let it carry on to that kind of stuff, because I know some guys can have a hard time with I guess having that emotion, feeling it, and then just getting rid of it. But by all means feel it, because we're supposed to feel this stuff. We're supposed to learn from all these feelings that we get, and it's not bad to cry about something. It's not bad to want it that much that you just didn't get it and you cried. It's that's fine. Have your little cry, and when it's done, it's done. Just get rid of it. Now, I don't know if Christchurch boys cried about it, but whatever your emotion is, get it out. Let it be what it is, and then learn from it. Take it and just grow from it a bit. Because some of these other teams as well. Look at Mags, right? Mags is another team that is struggling right now. Now, it's hard to say that they're struggling with a 4-1 record, but they should have been 5. I don't feel like they should have lost to DSL. There was a game that should have been hard, but it wasn't a game they should have lost. And then when you follow that game up with a game, and I don't want to sound like a dick to Liston College, but Megs is 4-1. Liston has not won a game this year. And Liston is trying to build up in their school a rugby program. And they're still on the mend. They're still on the rise of this rugby program. Now, King's College beat them in the first game, 76-0. Dilworth beat Liston College, 66-10. Sacred Heart beat Liston College, 76-5. St. Peter's College beat Liston College 33-10. And then Liston College just lost to Mags 16-10. 16-10. And from the things that I heard from the people that went to the game is that Mags was lucky to get out of that game with a win. Now, you could say that Liston having a pretty good game from their standards against the number 1 team, St. Peter's, 33-10, is actually a really good score for them. And if I was a coach, I would be happy. If you just got smoked by 76 points, 66 points, 76 points, and then you go 33-10 against the number 1 team in your comp, the number 3 team ranked in the country, if I'm Liston College, I'm happy. Then you're like, okay, now we got number 19 ranked Mags. And we are in this game the whole time, and we just lose 16-10. If I'm Liston, that's a win to me. That's a celebration even when the whistle blows. I'll celebrate if that was me. If I was Liston, I would celebrate that. And that confidence that they have from going 33-10 against St. Peter's, 16-10 against Mags, whoever their next game is, maybe you have to watch out. I mean, you got Calston Boys, just looking here, you got Calston Boys coming up. Maybe you try and get it down to that, score more than 10 points. I've scored 10 points 3 times now. Maybe get 12. Maybe get 13, 15. But if they can increase that score, even if they lose the match, if they can increase their score up, that's a win. Now, if I'm Mags, it's a loss. I don't care how you see it. Because if you know, Mags beat Auckland Grammar 37-10. They beat St. Kentigern's 18-17. They beat Old Eddie 82-0. They lost to De La Salle 21-37. Now that Mags game that they had against Old Eddie should have been the same kind of range that they beat Liston in. Now, to me, there's something wrong with Mags. Now, whatever that is, they got to fix it. They got to hurry up and fix this. They really do. Because they've got Kings this week. And that's not going to be easy at all. I guess if you think about it, Kings is going to be looking for a win because they need to get that win. I mean, if they're already sitting on 2-1-2, they need that to be a 3. And Mays has got Kings, then Sacred Heart, then Calston, then St. Peter's, and then they got Dilworth. And then they got Dilworth after that. So that's King's College. Oh, they got King's College, Tangaroa, Sacred Heart, Calston Boys, St. Peter's. The only sure one for them is that Tangaroa College one. But I mean, you should say it's their sure game. But if 16-10 is your score line against Liston College, if I'm Tangaroa College, I'm like, we're winning that game. If they keep having the problems that they're having within the team, because you see this decline in what's happening in terms of the 2 games, it's just like, okay, but if they lose against Kings, then you've got a problem. And because if you don't fix it up, if they lose against Kings, Tangaroa's next. If I'm Tangaroa, we're going to win that game. And then you've got Sacred Heart after that. Then Calston after that. And then you've got St. Peter's after that. If Mags is not careful, that could be a long losing streak if they're not careful. And whatever problems that they have in their team, they got to fix it up. And I think it's just going to have to be an ego check. Most of the time it's just ego. Whatever the ego problem is, and the prideness is, at least drop your ego and your pride have some, humility and do what's best for the team. Is kind of what you've got in most of these situations anyway. But it doesn't look good for Mags at all. Just from what I've seen, it doesn't look good for Mags. And that's kind of a hard one to do too, even telling my dad that they lost was bad. That was bad enough. Was that they almost lost was bad enough. And then the Warriors and Blues go and lose too, so his Saturday night wasn't that great. But yeah. That's going to be an interesting one to watch for me, I think. Teams on the rise is Silver Stream though. I kind of like that. What they did against Wellington, winning right at the end, was like a really good one. But yeah, Rotorua fighting back, that number one team in the country, then fighting back was good against Gisborne boys. The Gisborne boys had them in that first half. And once Rotorua just started spreading it, using that kicking game, finding them corners, wingers racing up really fast, like that was the other thing. It was just racing. The wingers were just so good on that day. Fielding game was really good to watch. The Hastings Napier one, like I said. St. John's Hamilton, 82 points, to nil. And like St. Peter's losing, Napier boys losing. St. John's winning by 82 points. That is a move up for St. John's. 82 points? And the thing is that they weren't scored on either. Which means that they didn't relax. They scored 82 points. Sometimes when you get to about 40, sometimes you just relax and then the little tries that creep in, they just creep in. But for you to hold the team out for no points, 82 points, that's massive for the team in terms of like that team is like a mentally strong team. They care about the fact that they don't want them to score a point. Hamilton boys Palmy was a good game. Even Tauranga and New Plymouth. That Super 8 is just so hard. So hard to get a win in there. But yeah, I think the other game that struck me, and I'm so glad I didn't go to the game. I was supposed to go to this game, but that Westlake Manurewa game, 39-0. That's so bad. That is so bad. Westlake winning 39-0. Now I don't know what the game was like. I don't know. But just to think 39 points on a team like Manurewa. To score no points? I don't know. And the last Manurewa game I went out to was the 41 one. And again, I haven't heard back from the North Harbour Rugby Union or the Riffing Academy or Riffing Association, whatever it is. I wasn't expecting to hear anything back because I don't think that they would. I don't know if they would care, but I don't know. I guess they might read it and then fix it without saying anything. But yeah, all I want is them to fix it. But 39 points. Maybe it was just one of those days, right? Maybe it was just one of those days. I just don't know what to think about it. But good on Westlake for putting up those numbers as well. Yeah. Everywhere else around the country, I guess Whanganui Collegiate didn't have a very good week this week. Wesley looked impressive in spirits and like Wesley's like another one of those teams that's in the country that They need to build back up what they had. And I'm not saying build the same thing, I'm saying just build it back up. Wesley's not the team that I'm used to from when I was young. That's not the Wesley that we've got now, but they need to make their own reputation. They need to build up a new Wesley from what it is now. And one thing I've always spoken about is that the sideline support for Wesley is just not there anymore, which was always a big thing. And when that kind of stuff happens, like, your rugby boys are like the big boys of your school. They're the ones that everyone looks up to, they all respect. So especially at boys' schools, it's kind of how it is. Wesley, the tradition has always been that you look up to the big boys, they're all in the first 15, you go down and support them, and it's just a big thing. And then every team is scared of you, and then they win most of their games. Now, that's not the Wesley that we have currently, and hasn't been for a while now. Even since I've done this top 200, it's really depleted little by little every single year. And I don't know how you fix it, because I don't even know really what the problem is. All I know is that I don't hear the singing on the sideline. I don't see... I don't want to say it's like the respect for the jersey, but I think maybe it's the respect for the team as a whole. I just don't see it there. Or I don't feel it. It's not that I don't see it, I don't feel it. I don't feel like it's there. And that aura of that jersey and of that team running out, it's just like not there anymore for some reason. I'm not too sure what it is. Well, hopefully they fix it, and hopefully they find out, how to get that back, because that really is like a special school. St. Peter's Cambridge had another good win, which is 2 in a row now, which is great for that school. Good for that backline and that team that they have. St. Paul's won again against Francis Douglas. Rotorua High School had another win, and they were on their 5th win in a row. So they're looking really good. Rotorua got a win, which is great, and that's just all my, Waikato area. John Paul College just went down 12-17 to Mount Maunganui College, which is actually a big game. That is a big result to have. And Mount Maunganui College was one of the better teams in that competition, the Bay of Plenty. And John Paul's just been lifted up to the first division. So, that's I think they're starting to get to the top teams in that, because they got Trident High School, Western Heights High School, John Paul College, Mount Maunganui College, Te Taumata, Otumotai College, Whakatane, and Taupo. Nuiatia College is the other one. Those are the 8 teams in that first division right now. I guess Tongariro School, Papamoa College, Te Puke, those teams are probably on the lower ones. And then actually to add to that Division 1, I think you've got the second 15s from Tauranga Boys and Rotorua Boys, who I think are 1 and 2 right now in that division. But those other schools are there are good, solid schools. Mercury Bay Area School is also they're winning as well. I wish that Mercury Bay could go and play some of those first division teams over there in the Bay of Plenty, because that would be a pretty good benchmark, I guess, to see where they're at. St. Pat's Town had a really good win over Mana College. So did Scots College over Hibs, and then St. Bernard's getting that win over Rongotai. St. Bernard's, they really need they need to win against one of those bigger teams. They need to win all their games from the lower teams, I guess, that they can beat. But they need to try and get a win against Scots College, Silverstream, or Wellington. I think they'll probably have to go for Scots or Wellington will probably be their best bet, in all honesty. I don't think that they can beat Silverstream, but I think they can come closer to Wellington or Scots. But the way that St. Bernard's is playing, to me, they look like a top 4 team in Wellington. And I hope that they believe it. Because I believe it. Watching them and watching everybody else, I believe that. And I think those that are Wellington and that watch that rugby in Wellington, I believe that they believe it too. Because they see it. They see how good this St. Bernard side is. They got a big tight 5, really good front row. The loose trio is really good with Max and what's their names? The 2 shorter guys. Aleki, I think it is, and Saliva. No, it's not Saliva. But they got those 2 in, their backline as well. With Kelly Regan, first 5, the long hair, can't even remember his name. All those guys, even the fullback as well, the real short, fair dude, good ball return guy, and so and with 2 big wingers, they look like league wingers. They play that way too, and it's so good to see that they can add that extra big ball carrier as well. And I think that they need to try and get that going with those bigger teams. And I personally think that they can do it. But they need something from Scots Wellington College and from Silverstream. And then they need, those teams to also have another loss so that their record kind of looks the same as everybody else's. And then the for and against, hopefully they get the for and against to sort of lean their way as well. And hopefully they can make it in that way. But I hope they can do it. Another team that actually had a really good week this week, and that were actually pretty down, leading up into this week, is Stack. Like, them getting their win against Timaru Boys was big. And I don't know which one is bigger, if it's a bigger win against Shirley or if it's a bigger win against Timaru Boys, because 32-19 against Shirley, actually no, I think that Shirley one's a bigger win. The 32-19, even after playing their second game, they get that in their second game. And then I think if you switch those around and they played Shirley on the Monday, I think that they would have lost. I think that confidence that they won from beating Timaru to now playing on the Saturday and then putting up 32 points against Shirley, who's a really good side as well. Like, that's a really big win for Stack, and I hope that they kind of ride that out and just see how far it goes. Because before this week, they just weren't having the best start of the season, But hopefully this gets them back on track as well. The other good win was the Aoraki combined, Ron Kelly. So them beating Rangiora High School 17-15. That says like a lot for that school. Obviously a small time school, but William Lang, I guess a big shout out to him and what he was able to do with that team. I think Brody England was injured. He was the usual captain at number 8. I think he was injured and they still got the win. I heard Seth Bradley had a really good game. Kieran Harris was the other one. Cameron King, who I really like. I think he's the hooker. Those guys as well, and even the fullback, who's kicking for them, he also played really well too. And so shout out to that team, to Aoraki getting that win. But yeah, hopefully it gets them off to I guess a little bit of a better run. I know that it's such a hard competition to get a win in, and Aoraki, in all honesty, they don't win a lot most years, and they kind of usually pick their 5 teams who they think they can knock over, and they kind of just concentrate on those a lot. But that's a good one against Rangiora, to be honest. That really is a good one. the Waitaki boys in St. Kevin's. That game was a big time 1-2, 41-13 to Waitaki boys. Wakatupu winning big 52-7 over Tairi, which I thought Tairi was... I thought they were going to do better. I actually thought they were going to keep it closer, and they just got blown out. But Mount Aspiring coming up big against South Otago, and then also Dunstan High School with that draw that they had with Otago boys. Maybe should have been a bit different, but I guess it can't always fall that way, the way that you want it, Also, the other thing I wanted to talk about was that Rugby by the Beach. Rugby by the Beach is one of those competitions where it's for co-ed schools. Usually they're more country schools that get into it, and they have it around, I guess, a top 4 time. And the days that they have are Wednesday 31st of August to Friday the 2nd of September. And I think they've got the applications that now that you send in your application to rugbybythebeach@gmail.com, and as for those who are interested in entering it. Now I'm going to put up my thoughts on the teams that I feel like should go there, and that are all around that same kind of, skill set. And I've got some ideas because I feel like they can get more teams from around a bigger area than just those that are there. And when you go to Mount Maunganui for a tournament, like, honestly, that's a bloody pretty place to go to. We go out there to swim. We don't go to Raglan. We go out to the mount when we go to the beach and stuff. And so, like this. If you're one of those teams thinking about it, I'm going to do my write-up on it. If you want to wait till my write-up, but if that's a thing that you want, if you want a good tournament at the end, sort of just to finish off the year, this is like a really good tournament to go to. And so Rugby by the Beach is what it is. You can find it on Facebook too, and then rugbybythebeach@gmail.com is the email that you can send, your interest to, and to ask. I think they had to call it off last year, and then I think the last winners were Katikati High School. Katikati College was the last one, and they played Mata in that final. I think it was that, or that was in 2019. I can't remember, but it's a good tournament. That's the one I'll probably be going to, because I won't go to the top 4 if it's going to be televised. Depends where the under 15s is too. It's like there was another tournament that I want to go to, and so I'll check that out and see what's happening there. But that's all for today's Monday morning meeting. And hit me up with some questions, some queries, some theories on what you think is going on, and then I'll see what we have, because it's getting to the middle of the season. We're going to go into rep season soon too, make sure you just keep playing your best. Make sure you just keep pushing it. If you need to reset your goals again for the second half of the season, and just keep going. Don't worry about what I say. Don't worry about what I say. Like, just take it as some small bits of context for what's going on. I'm not the one that decides anything. It's just all my opinions based on things that I see and that I watch, and how much I watch. This is just what my opinion on it. My opinion's ready to be challenged, so listen to what I have to say. Provide you some context. You go out, you watch the games, go support all the teams and all the players that I've talked about, and then just make up your mind and see what you think. Whether you agree with me or if you don't, that's kind of the point. It's just but at least it's getting eyeballs on this level of rugby, and on these boys that put in so much work and get hardly any praise for it, to be honest. So that's what I do want to do. But I'm Herschel Fruin from High School Top 200. Later, Bo.